Call the order of the meeting of Planning and Economic Development Committee for October 3rd, 2022. Would the clerk please take roll call?
Chairman Sipes.
Here.
Vice Chairman Beck.
Here.
Trustee Kidd.
Here.
Mr. Trickey.
Here.
Miss Bailey.
Here.
Miss Miller.
Here.
6 present.
Thank you. We have a quorum. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the September 6th meeting, 2022. Do I have a motion and a second, please?
So be.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Trickey and a second from Mrs. Miller. All in favor? Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Minutes have been approved. Next, I present ordinance 40-22, variance from front yard setback for a privacy fence, 9414 Baldwin Drive. May I have a motion for the ordinance, please?
So made. Second.
I have a motion by trustee Kidd and a second by trustee Beck. May I have staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. Our code allows 6-foot tall fences in the side front yard area on corner lots, not the front yard, but the area that's considered the side. This is based on a text amendment that our board approved a few years ago. But if a 6-foot fence goes in that side front yard area, it does need to be at least 3 feet inside of that property line that runs parallel to the roadway, mostly because of vision clearance concerns that we have. These property owners for this petition desire to put their privacy fence right up to that lot line. So they've applied for this variance from that regulation. Staff finds that with this particular property, there is no vision clearance concern that we have, and we recommend approval of the variance. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussions? Is the applicant present? Would like to speak to the committee? Seeing none and hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 4022 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 4122, special use permit for outdoor self-storage, 10446 Product Drive. May I have a motion, please?
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Kidd and a second by Mrs. Bailey. We have staff report, please?
Yep, the board approved this same special use permit to establish an outdoor self-storage facility at this same property back in October of 2018. However, it was never established and the special use lapsed and expired. Now a new applicant, still representing the property owner, has applied for the special use permit again to allow outdoor self-storage here. And again, staff recommends approval with 7 recommended conditions, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval with those conditions as well. Those conditions are listed in your staff reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions? Is the applicant present? Would you like to address the committee?
No.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 4122 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 4522, zoning map amendment for agricultural district to the office district of 900 Roosevelt Road. May I have a motion and a second, please?
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Kidd and a second by Mrs. Bailey. Can we have staff report, please?
When the Harlem Community Center was constructed here in the village at this subject property, the land was zoned in agricultural zoning district, and it is still zoned ag. Now HCC is transferring some of the north end of their land to the North Park Public Water District. So the property is going to be getting a bit smaller, and they are planning to possibly demolish their building and build a new one in the future. So just to make sure we don't run into any issues with this being a non-conforming ag lot, HCC has petitioned for this zoning change to the office district, which is the most appropriate district for the types of uses HCC does at this location. Staff recommends approval of the zoning change. It really just helps clean up the property. Nothing's really changing with the use, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval as well.
Thank you. Any questions or discussions? Is the applicant present? Would like to address the committee? Thank you very much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 4522 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 4622, variance from accessory building area regulation in a single-family residential R1 district, 8205 North Second Street. May I have a motion, please, for approval?
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Kidd and a second by Mrs. Miller. We have staff report, please.
Yep, this property owner would just like to build a 120 square foot shed next to his garage, but because his garage already exceeds the total area he is allowed for detached accessory buildings, we can't allow any more detached building area to be added at this property. This variance, if approved, would allow up to 1,140 square feet of accessory structure area rather than the 900 square feet he is limited to based on the size of his home. Staff recommends approval of this variance, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions or discussions? Seeing none, is the applicant present would like to address the committee?
No.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 4622 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 47-22, special use permit for outdoor storage in general industrial district 8181 Burden Road. May I have a motion to approve?
So made.
I have a
Second.
motion by trustee Beck and a second by trustee Kidd. May I have staff report, please?
As Hennick's business continues to grow, they keep needing more area to store their finished product. So they've applied for this special use permit for a new outdoor storage yard, not unlike what they have at Marlin and Burden that was approved back in January. This new proposed yard would be just northeast of that area that was approved in January. Staff recommends approval of this special use with 7 conditions of approval. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval with those conditions as well.
Thank you again. Any questions or comments? Is the applicant present would like to address the committee? Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 4722 will go to the October 17th board meeting with positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 48-22, text amendment to the zoning code, nonprofit and charitable institutions as a special use in R1 and R2 districts. May I have a motion to approve?
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Trustee Kidd and a second by Trustee Beck. May I have staff report, please?
Yep, when staff was looking through our code, researching permitted ways that the United Way could reuse the neighborhood Stronghouse property, we found a couple of things that we found needs to be cleaned up in our zoning code, and that's what these next 2 items are about. First, for item 8, we found that the use nonprofit and charitable institutions is a special use in the rural residential district and in both of the multifamily districts. We don't know what the thought was behind only considering this use in those residential districts and excluding the single family or 2-family districts. This text amendment would simply fix this to add nonprofit and charitable institutions as a special use in the single family and 2-family districts. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of this text amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 48-22 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next is ordinance 49-22, text amendment to zoning code definition and regulations for residential care homes. May I have a motion for approval, please?
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Kidd and a second by trustee Beck. I guess we need more staff report or?
Yep. And this item addresses another problem we found. We had 2 similar uses in our code, but they had different regulations and were allowed in different districts. These were a use called family care facilities and a use called group living. Group living was defined in our code while the other use wasn't, but based on regulations, they both seem to be intended as a type of therapeutic residential care home for special or medical needs of some kind. This text amendment would remove those 2 uses from the code and replace them with a use just called residential care homes. This use would have a clear definition and use criteria, which you can read in the staff report and in the ordinances in your packet. I have drafted this amendment so that if there are 4 or less unrelated residents living in a residential care home, and then it would be permitted in the rural residential, single-family residential, and two-family residential districts. But if there are between 5 and 8 unrelated residents, that could be a bit more of an intense use that may not really resemble a typical residence as much. So I think in this case, it should require special use permit and a public hearing and the opportunity for neighbors to give input. So I propose that 5 to 8 unrelated residents require a special use permit in those same zoning districts in RR, R1, and R2. And the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to recommend approval of this text amendment for the residential care homes.
Thank you very much, Gary. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ordinance 49-22 will go to the October 17th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next on the agenda is reports. Are there any reports? Seeing none, next is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the committee for the good of the village? Seeing none, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So made.
Second.
I have a motion by trustee Kidd and a second by Mrs. Bailey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Very good.